Round 4, 3-0 on the play. Swamp. Not like Plains would have helped, really. We gotta stop getting these bad hands. Like this. This is a pretty bad hand. We should stop doing that. I mean, we have 3 mana, so we're almost a cruiser, which is good. We should be able to play this on turn 4. But we're not really giving people the beatdowns, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. But oh well, we keep winning, so there's got to be something to it. What do we want on top? What do we want? Just like a Warden, I guess? Not a Shambling Vent. No thank you. Although, second Shambling Vent would turn on this Shambling Vent, but not super worried about that. If we get to 4 mana, we'll just be cruising for days. So, I like Canopy Vista against my Selfless Spirit. Flyers are good against green-white. For the most part. Alright, I accept Plains. That was another Selfless Spirit to fill a curve here. I'm about to make some 5/3s. Some Juggernauts. Is that land going to ETB tap too? Nope. Forest. Your own Fairgrounds Warden. That's so sick. Alright, full house. Get to attack for 10 this turn, which is pretty nice. Can also use a Spirit to protect. Fleetwood Cruiser if we want to. That would require us drawing a 2-power creature next turn, which I think is doable. We have Scrounger and Exemplar, which we can use with the Cruiser. And what's our opponent's best play? Like Gideon? Get out of here. I'm scared of the green Gear Hulk, that's for sure. That one's a little slow, though. Spirit's not bad, but we're going to be using our Spirit to make a 5/3, so... And Servant. Okay, so they can double block if they want, and they may want. Warden is nice. What's better, Gideon or Fleetwheel Cruiser? I mean, they'd both be pretty good. If they double block, do we even sack our Spirit? Or we just let them have it? Alright, they're going to 1. And then I assume they're going to try and stabilize with green Gear Hulk, but Fairgrounds Warden will probably make that difficult for them. And if we draw another untapped land, we get to crew both vehicles, so it's pretty sweet. Kind of doing it. The Hulk. Where do these counters go? And are you going to attack in such a way that you are dead to a Fairgrounds Warden? Because I would really like that. Just dead to any removal spell. So you have to keep the Spirit back to potentially block my Spirit. I guess you can make the Hulk a 6/6. You can make the Spirit a 4/3, so you can just trade with my Spirit. Making Hulk a 5/5 doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I get making your Spirit a 4/3. What's up with the Warden being a 2/4, though? Just keeping them all back. Alright. Alright, so there's a Copter. So if we have an additional turn, we can go Warden into Copter into Cruiser. Alternatively, we could just double cruise this turn, and then what happens? One trades with the Hulk, and then the other trades with 2 creatures or the Fairground Warden, and gets back a Selfless Spirit, which is also pretty good. Oh, I'm stupid. I can just Fairground Warden the flyer. I'm dumb. I was too caught up in the cruisers and how to get those through. Derp derp. Sorry, didn't mean to slow roll. I apologize. Oh, you have a blossoming defense. Okay. Okay. Makes things a little more difficult. So that was the plan. They were trying to pump their Warden. So Spirit to block my Spirit, Warden to pump on a Cruiser, and Gearhulk to trade, I guess? I knew there was something up. I should have thought more. I'm not sure. I would probably just make the same play. I would probably still just Warden the Spirit. But now what happens? Now do I cruise? Because no matter what, I get a pretty good trade. I either get the Spirit, and then they're dead to my Spirit, or I get their Gearhulk, which is, like, pretty threatening. Still in the same spot where I could sack Spirit to protect the Cruiser, but I'm not about that. I think I just want the Flyer still. And the thing to crew a vehicle as opposed to the vehicle that needs a creature to crew it. Although next turn I suppose I could crew them both. Because I can go Copter through the Warden, Spirit on the other one. So maybe that's good. Is anything going to happen to my Warden? Could get stoned, but maybe if they had stone, they would use it on my Spirit at some point. Yeah, I'm just going to do this. I think this is reasonable. It gives me a bunch of pressure in play, and it makes them have to keep a bunch of stuff back. So it gives me more turns to actually draw into stuff, too. It means my life total's not under really any pressure. Yeah, I guess they can sack their Spirit, too, and which is fine once I sack mine, but I'm still trading my 2-1 for their 4-3. So I think that is a favorable trade. Another Hulk. That's kind of what I was scared of. Now I'm kind of brickwalled with them at 1 life. That's pretty scary. I guess I should have just played the other Spirit, jammed in with both vehicles, because my trades were good, and then maybe use the Fairgrounds Warden to clear the way the next turn. That probably would have been better. I was just thinking that like my opponent was dead, so I didn't actually think multiple turns in advance of like what happened if they don't die, and that might be a mistake. Might be, well, it's definitely a mistake, but it might be a mistake that cost me. We'll see. So now he's got a 4-6, and I think I'm gonna have to block with some vehicles, and then hopefully fly over. Yeah, because I don't have a good attack with my cruisers. There's also, like, the last-ditch effort of blocking with Smuggler's Copter, looting to get another look at something like a Fairgrounds Warden, but gotta make sure I don't die this turn. My opponent has 11 showing. So 3rd Gearhulk would probably beat me. Trample is a hell of a mechanic. I don't think that does anything. They get to get my Spirit. Which I think I'm just going to sacrifice. Maybe I should crew the Copter. Yeah, I should probably just make a 2nd cruiser. And then sacrifice. Like, they still have to beat this Copter. Maybe I shouldn't activate the Copter because they might stone it. Because, yeah, that seems like my win condition. I don't remember Brad's list exactly. I don't remember if they had stone or not. I would assume they did. Okay. Despite our best efforts, we managed to win. Okay, so Gideons and Archangels and snares and whatnot all look pretty good. Cruisers are kind of bad because given enough time, they're going to be, like, my opponent's creatures are going to be enormous. It's possible that Alliance is reasonable. I don't think their creatures are small enough for tactics to matter. I definitely like the Flyers. I imagine some amount of disenchants are going to come in, so it's like a reason to not actually play Snare, especially if I'm like trying to snare Hulks, which just means they get like an ETB trigger again, which definitely stinks. So probably want to cut some of the smaller creatures. Which leaves me with 21 plus Copter and Gideon. Yeah, I think this is fine. I think it's fine. Not seen much of this green-white deck. Does look solid, though. Much like this hand. Don't have an artifact yet. My opponent has an artifact. I'm pretty jealous. Oh, that Blossoming Defense almost got me good. Take it all. Copter's pretty good for them. So I could play 3 1-drops this turn. That does not seem wise. I think I just want this... Oh, I should have attacked, obviously. I don't know why I didn't attack, but I didn't. Alright, you're 19. Maybe I want to double block this Inspector that is clearly going to either not attack or crew this Copter, and why would I want to double block an Inspector anyway? Alright, we got to slow down. We got to tighten up. This is not going well. Selfless Spirit. Notable that they play their land first, so likely have a Blossoming Defense, which is good to know about. And they do keep the Inspector back. And they discard a Stasis Snare, which is kind of slow and mopey against my deck. I guess they could have a Natural State, which would be really bad. I guess, like, Blossoming Defense. If they use that defensively to just block, I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with the Natural State. The Natural State actually just blows me out. And these Gideons are pretty weak to their Copters, so that's worth noting. Rawr. Don't tap your mana. But if you do, give your thing +2/+2. If you absolutely must, tap your mana. No Natural State, please. I imagine you would play Fragmentize instead. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I don't think I'm supposed to board in Fragmentize just for their 1 Copter, or their 4 Copters. I think that's the only artifact they have. Could certainly just look up their decks, so then there's less confusion. Yeah, let's do that. I'm a cheater. Big old cheater. Three Blossoming Defense, 2 Always Watching. So they do have things. No Stone. Only 2 stones in the board. 2 fumigate. That's good to know about. And 2 natural state. Okay. Weird. He discarded another blossoming defense. I am very far behind. So I can play Gideon to soak up some damage. It's not the greatest use of a Gideon. Alternatively, I could just stone a spirit, which they would have to sack because they have 2 of them. So they would not get a clue, which is nice. I kind of want to just deal with the board a little bit, but I'm also worried about them dropping a Gearhulk and me not having any removal, but kind of is what it is. Probably should have attacked first. Because I'd be willing to make any trade there. And now I just can't because this thing's indestructible, so that was silly. Remember when I said I needed to slow down and tighten up? It didn't work. It did not work. Yep, here comes the Hulk. Here it comes. Nope. I lied. We are just going to get pecked to death by these flyers, though. What does 5 open mana mean? Is this like an Avacyn? That'd be very impressive. I could play the Inspector, but I'm going to play Gideon instead. Okay. You win. You have defeated me. So, since they have Wraths, they probably only board them in on the draw, or at least that's probably what you're supposed to do. That actually makes my Wardens really awkward, too. Makes my Wardens awkward. Everything else is still good. Huh. Guess I have Avacyn to answer Wrath potentially, which would be insane. Just be completely insane. Yeah, our draw is a little too awkward. Stupid 1/1s. Never getting bigger. Hopefully these Gideons are a little bit better on the play. If we could curve Warden into Gideon, that would just be perfect because it like takes them off tempo a little bit. Helps us protect our Gideon too. So we are on the play for game 3. Our hand looks pretty good. We do have this tappy land, which is not ideal. So I think we just lead with Copter on 2. And if we hit our 3rd land, we can play Scrounger and Exemplar. Alternatively, if we brick on land 3, we're probably playing Exemplar, maybe pitching Scrounger. Okay, so we did hit. So we're definitely playing Copter. Makes me wish I would have played Exemplar on 1. But if I brick, it's just so devastating. My opponent remembered to attack on turn 2. It's smart of them. So what is this, like Blessed Alliance? Likely gonna ship the Scrounger, especially now that I have Selfless Spirit to fill my curve. Yeah, sure. I guess if I just played Selfless Spirit first, then he would have had to kill the copter in response, and then I could have gotten in for a point. But if I drew a Concealed Courtyard off the loot, I definitely wanted to play it, even though I thought they had a removal spell for the copter. But I kind of figured it was just an alliance or something. Because you might even just want to sack the clue instead of natural stating here, unless you have a 3-drop. And I guess now that my copter died, I probably should have played Scrounger instead of Spirit. Ugh. Yeah, because now my Spirit can't even attack into their copter. This is just going so poorly. Because if I had Scrounger, I could just be attacking for 6 this turn. Be so much better. So I basically missed 4 points this game. And instead of that Spirit in play, I should probably have another Scrounger. Well, as far as Warden targets go, if I'm trying to play around Wrath, their own Warden is definitely like the best one. I guess the Spirit is kind of making it so he doesn't want to copter me. But, well, here it comes. Here it comes. Might feel far enough ahead. We'll see how he feels once I Warden his Warden. My hand's looking pretty good. I guess Blossoming Defense there would have been pretty bad, but I believe that is still my play. So opponent's at 12, I'm at 16. I have a stone, which should be able to clear any big fatty. Warden my Warden on my Warden. This makes my stone, like, pretty brutal. Maybe this is where the Blossoming Defense comes in. Oh, tapping out. Risky business. So, don't attack with your copter. Yeah, you should attack with your copter. I don't necessarily like tapping the inspectors. I feel like you could just crew with a Warden, keep the 2 inspectors to block the Exemplar. Well, so I could Warden their Warden, get back my Warden, Warden their Warden, get back my Scrounger, or I could just stone them both. Which one is better? I could stone them both and then Warden and Inspector. I think stoning them is better. Can't really explain why. Feel like I would rather just have them both gone for sure and then have the Warden in reserve. Although if I Warden this turn, my Gideon potentially next turn is really powerful with an emblem. And I don't know, if I draw a 4th land, maybe I want to stone and Scrounger instead of Gideon. I guess I have Selfless Spirit to protect against Wrath, so that's not really a concern. But, like, how bad do things get if they just, like, Warden me right back? It kind of just, like, fogs me, which is not great. Because if I stone his wardens, he gets to warden my warden if he has one, and then he just gets back his Thraben Inspector, which I don't really care about. He already has 2 clues. So that's not a big deal either. I'm just going to do this. I don't know if this is right or not. It's weird. The way this game is played out, since I made the mistake of playing Spirit instead of Scrounger, I feel like it's actually worked out better for me because I haven't had time to play this, and now I actually just have Wrath Protection, which is great. I feel like if he had a Wrath at some point, he would probably warden my Spirit, but who knows. Also, yeah, you can't have Warden and Wrath in your deck at the same time. I mean, you can. It is allowed. I would not recommend it. But I've seen people do stranger things. I feel like I'm supposed to say something about the TV show, but I have no idea what. I watched it. It was decent. That's about it. That's all I got. I like my deck. I just really do. What is my opponent doing over there? Tanks for DI, eventually does nothing. Oh my. Well, my turn is likely going to be play Scrounger. So if that's the case, I should just play it now to stop some, like, beginning of combat, kill your Scrounger, this doesn't get pumped thing. Even though that wouldn't be the worst for me. Then maybe I lose some creatures to some tricks, but maybe this is Blessed Alliance to gain 4 life. I'm also fine with that. Which is like not a good way to spend your turn. If my opponent had a 5th land, you can bluff Avacyn, which would make me reconsider things, but no, just Stasis Snare. Yeah, that's legit. Yeah, see, that would have been devastating if I wardened their warden. Because then they just get, like, their entire squad back. So I'm glad I stoned. Get to double block, which is decent. Trade my all-powerful 3-2 for a mopey 1-2. And that's it. I'd rather keep the Selfless Spirit around. These Scroungers are just beat down machines. No one can stop them. Is this the Hulk? Hulkamania running wild? No, Gideon. Gideon on the draw. I mean, I guess I can't complain or criticize because I also had Gideon in on the draw, but that's only because I feel like it's better than Fleet Wheel Cruiser. And I thought that if I had a decent enough board presence that, you know, I could just play it and make an emblem, but well, we'll see what happens here. Snare ain't bad. So if I warded the token, they crew the copter. They still have 2 blocks, so if I just attack, and then they crew, then I can potentially stasis snare. How bad is it if they have blossoming defense? Oh, they're just going to blocks. I'm down with this. It's kind of weird. You'd think that they would crew the copter, try and get rid of this spirit. I mean, I guess, like, we could just play Scrounger, or we could just get one out of the graveyard. So I feel like that's better. Maybe my opponent's just really smart and they knew I had Stasis Snare and they don't have Blossoming Defense. That could certainly be it. Now it's time to go looking for some answers with your 5 clues. I still have all these spells. I have so many spells. Feel like if you're really behind at 2 life, I have removal, and you're sitting there cracking clues, I'm probably going to win. My opponent said he made a dumb block and it cost him. I wonder if he's talking about the crewing copter thing, because that would have worked out way worse. So yeah, he's talking about he should have crewed the copter and blocked my spirit. I told him I was recording and I called him a master, because if he did that, he was just dead to my snare. And it looked like he was playing around it. Alright. Scrounger comes back. Attacks get made, and that should be it. Another Gideon, which we definitely don't need. Attack you, not your Gideon. You have more life than your Gideon. It should just auto-correct. If your life is lower than your Planeswalker's loyalty, you should not be able to attack that Planeswalker. Boom, 4-0.